a live stream on YouTube and on Twitch for gamers, and also on X.com. See if it's working. It glitches on X.
Can't believe I've been driving around like this.
Often glitches. Let's go to my channel. YouTube Studio, is that where you go? No. Live sessions. Click on this. See if it go to the link. Oh, it is working. I'll like it. One person's watching. Cool, it's working. Okay, guys, I am here. This is Alexander Napolin. I'm an attorney in California, attorney at large, because this is my entertainment station / legal content channel. And I put up a lot of shorts. Not Ugo Lord, no. I just do funny shorts sometimes. I do lawyer's reaction. A lot of people say, well, Ugo Lord did that first. Well, he actually didn't do that first. A lot of lawyers were doing that. He's certainly the most successful short entertainment guy. I kind of find him funny looking and kind of funny, and that's why I think he's so entertaining. Not necessarily because he understands the law or that he's a great attorney. I think he's a very young lawyer, and young lawyers tend to not be great lawyers because they need experience before they're going to be great lawyers. So maybe he will be a great lawyer one day, but you can't say after only being a lawyer for a couple of years that you're a great attorney. So, he's an entertainer. I'm not just an entertainer. I try to put content up that is educational and also entertains people. And it just so happens that I like to do the lawyer's reaction. I started off by putting videos up that were of my own clients' videos from dash cams and things that I gotten, situations that I thought were completely ridiculous, where the insurance adjusters were denying liability. And I was throwing those up online just to get an idea about what people thought about the situation. And that's how, that was it. Who's at fault, I called it. It wasn't called lawyer's reaction. It was called who's at fault. But, that's kind of like lawyer's reaction, because I would put it up and then I'd say, this is ridiculous or whatnot. How could they not be paying? So, yeah, it's Tuesday afternoon. It's pouring down rain in Southern California. We're getting more rain here than we've gotten in months. It's months worth of rain all in a couple of days, an atmospheric river, they call it. And I am discussing legal stuffs. You call it legal stuffs. There's nothing much to discuss. We haven't been doing the podcast, the workers' compensation podcast with George Abuado. We did about 52, 53, I think 54 episodes of that, where we discussed all kinds of different aspects of workers' compensation claims from the applicant's perspective. That's the plaintiff. So if you're out there and you're in California and you want to know about workers' comp, you want to know the ins and outs of what you need to watch out for, you can watch my videos, because I do a lot of, I have the workers' compensation playbook on my channel. And show you that actually. The workers' compensation playbook is on the Napolin channel. If we go here, which you're on right now, of course. But let's go over to see if I can pull it up on here. It's a playlist on YouTube, and it basically has like all these little shorts that I did. I first started doing them when I was in my car. Someone's chatting with me now. Hello, how's it going? I'm in pre-litigation, the other side. Don't want to tell us the policy limits car injury. Oh, yeah. Well, they don't want to tell you, in California, if you're in California, I don't know if you're in California, but the insurance adjuster is supposed to ask their insured if they want to release the limits to you. Okay. And if they don't, then they don't have to release them to you. Now, you might know by the insurance carrier, okay, if it's like a bargain insurance company like Fred Loya or like Kemper, it's going to be a $15,000 policy. If it's like a Allstate or State Farm or Farmers or 21st Century Mercury Insurance, those policies could be quite large policies. Those could be million. They could be a $250,000 policy with an umbrella. The way that I find out is one of two ways. Sorry, I can't read this little thing here. I should get someone to hit your car and still get insurance. Commercial truck. Can you get someone to hit your car and still get insurance? Does that mean? Okay, commercial truck, it's ESIS. Oh, well, it's going to probably be $1 million insurance policy, Chubb Insurance. My guess is that it's $1 million policy if it's a commercial policy. Now, the only way to know what the policy is if you have a certified copy of the declaration page. You usually have to get that in litigation by filing a lawsuit. And then in discovery, the first thing you ask for in the form interrogatories, it says, hey, give me, your insurance. You can also ask special interrogatories. You can ask special questions. Do you have any umbrella policies? Who were you working for at the time? Et cetera, et cetera. And maybe they'll try to lie to you. Sometimes they try to do that. But the way that I find out is I use research companies. So there's research companies. One of them, Red Folder Research. I was using this company called Red Folder Research. It's right here. Know your limits. Our experienced team of case managers, researchers, and quality controllers are dedicated to delivering timely and accurate results to our partner attorneys with world-class service. So 1 to 3 hours, they say. I use different companies. Pacific Liability Research is one. And then there's like investigators that have gone out independently. And they do this research. I don't know how they find out exactly what the policy is, but you could pay. If you're a lawyer, would have to have a relationship. You say yes. You go like, okay, well, is this your firm's first time using Red Folder? No. You put your firm in there. Napolin Law Firm. That's me. 91764. And then you just basically pay $150. And all right. Oh yeah. Ergi. I actually worked V-Force with Central Intelligence Association. G-Force, you mean? I don't know what that means. Anyway, there are policy liability research companies that can help you determine what the insurance policy is. And this is one of them. So, yeah, I mean, I would tell your lawyer, hey, lawyer, run research on the policy. Now, maybe you're not that injured. I don't know. I mean, if you've only had chiropractic care and you didn't go to the hospital from the scene of the collision and you have minimal injuries, you maybe have had an MRI and that's it. You don't need any more treatment. You're 100% better or you're close to it. Maybe your policy is only worth 15 or your case is only worth 15,000. Maybe it doesn't really matter what the policy is because you're never going to get to it. But if you're going to have surgery, like for example, I have a client who's about to have surgery right now, lumbar spine surgery. We ran a policy limit search pre-litigation to try to figure out, well, how big is this policy? Because maybe we want to close the case now instead of later, because if we close the case now, we can get the policy and then he can push the cost of that back surgery onto, his health insurance and not pay for it from his policy proceeds. I don't know, Ned. No. I'm in Southern California. Is he a lawyer? Ned Luke? Looks like he's an actor. Here's another. Omar says commercial truck. Oh, no. Okay. This says, okay. These are two different people. Sorry, I'm getting you guys mixed up. He's a GTA actor. It's funny. I put up a short yesterday of like Beam NG. I saw this crash. It was clearly a fake crash. But when I looked in the comments, a lot of people thought it was real. So I was like, wow, people are getting a lot of comments. If I just put up this short and talk about this crash as if it's real, I'll get a bunch of people commenting on it. Like, no, you're an idiot. It's CGI. It's like, yeah, I know it's CGI, obviously. But some people, they don't know. So it was like, oh my gosh, I'll get more comments and stuff. And on Instagram, I'm getting like 10,000 views on this video. There's 100 comments on it. People are like, no, you're an idiot. It's real. Other people are, no, it's not. You're stupid. I was like, oh, yeah, that worked pretty good. I'm not generally, I'm not Ugo Lord. I'm not a big entertainment guy. But yeah. Omar, I don't know if Omar's still in here. But if you are in here, Omar, he's on YouTube. Then, do your red folder research, or ask your lawyer to do it, or file the lawsuit. Just file the damn lawsuit and say, you know what? We're not messing around. We're not messing around anymore. We want to know who's Ned Luke. He's the actor from GTA. Grand Theft Auto, man. Grand Theft Auto. I remember playing that game when I was in high school on PlayStation 2. Oh, dude, when that game came out, it was so badass. Luke Nichols, attorney. Sacramento criminal. Michael Nichols. He's an attorney in Chula Vista. Let's check him out. Bankruptcy, wills and trust, personal injury. Man, he does everything. He's like an all-around guy. Well, so what I came on here to discuss, are you in California, Ergi? Or are you in Albania? You're an Albanian, man. Luke Nichols? Is he a lawyer? I don't know any Luke Nichols. I know Michael Nichols. There's this guy's Luke Nichols. You can see my ad spend. Look at that. It's not much. Oh, you're in Albania. No, I'm in Albania, yes. Okay. Man, over there in Albania. Oh, look at that. It's over there in Europe. Oh, you're near where the war is. Hey, be careful over there. It's kind of close to this. There's a war zone in here. I don't think it's over here, though. You're probably okay for a while until it gets real heated. If Omar's still out there, you want to be looking at red folder research. That is where you get the policy, product fees. How much does it cost to do policy limit research? They took it down. People wonder, is this stuff legal? I think it is. I use Westlaw People Maps. People Maps, basically, it's an online research tool where I can look people up. Give me your name and your address, and I'll go ahead and look you up on here. If you're in, obviously, I can't do this. This is I can only do this in relation to like a civil investigation because my license would get me in trouble if I used it for anything else. But yeah, I can look into people too. Like if you say, oh man, like I don't know if this person hit me, if they have money or not. I'll be like, well, let me figure out what kind of properties they own and stuff. I can go on here and I can look them up. But I was actually just going to bring this up. I'm in California. If you're in California, the insurance policy limits are going to go up to $30,000 per individual, $60,000 per incident. They'll be increasing the minimum policy to drive a motor vehicle in the state of California. A lot of states already have increased their limits, but California regulation on premium increases has prohibited companies from writing larger policies, I think. In other words, insurance companies have to increase their premiums in order to double the policy limits. So if you're, California requires $15,000 per individual. That means if you hit someone negligently, it will pay up to $15,000 to that person for their injuries, and it will pay no more than that policy will pay no more than $30,000. That's a $15,000 per person, $30,000 aggregate. It's moving up to a 30-60, which is $30,000 per person, $60,000 aggregate. So if you're driving on the road and you're looking at your phone and you slam into somebody and you injure them, it can pay that person up to $30,000 starting on January 1st, 2025. That will be the minimum insurance policy to drive in the state of California. Right now, it's only $15,000. But if you injure multiple people, like let's say you hit 3 people, it can only pay right now up to $30,000. So no individual can collect more than 15, and the whole entire shabam is only $30,000. So you could injure 4, 5, 6 people. You might hit 2, 3 cars. There might be multiple people in those cars, and you have a minimum insurance policy. Can't pay any more than $15,000 per individual involved in that incident, and no more than $30,000 aggregate. And it's going to go up to 30-60. So then that's quite a bit more. It'll be up to $60,000 aggregate in California. Like other states, like Colorado, I've been talking to people on TikTok. I've made some friends out there. I think it's like $30,000, $15,000 already in some other states. California has a lot of regulation on the premiums that insurance companies can charge people. So in essence, because insurance companies can only raise premiums so much, that's the amount you have to pay to have your insurance policy. There is a limit on what the minimum insurance can be, because if the California government requires that the minimum policy be more, but the insurance companies can't increase premiums, then how are they supposed to pay for all those claims? So this has been a long time coming. It looks like this was enacted in 2022, but it's not taking effect until January 1st, 2025. Okay. And that's going to increase the minimum insurance to drive in California to 30-60. Okay. And property damage is going to be $15,000 instead of $5,000. So it's going to create a lot more insurance coverage in the state of California starting January 1st, 2025. I'm going to be putting up a video about this. I just recorded it right before I went live. And it'll be pretty cool, I think. People can check it out, watch it at their leisure. Well, like I was saying before, I had 2 court hearings today. I set a case for trial. We set a case for trial on August 9th, 2024, Riverside County Superior Court. This is a case where my clients were rear-ended by a guy who jumped out of his Porsche and took off on foot. He took off on foot and he ran and got away. And my client saw him and later was able to identify him out of a lineup at the Riverside Police Department. But the insurance company, if I'm injured in California, can I get more than the policy minimum limit? Well, look, I think, Omar, you probably have a commercial policy. ESIS and Chubb. ESIS is the claims administrator. Chubb's the insurance company. And you were hit by a truck. That's going to be probably at least $1 million, because I think that's the commercial minimum limit. I don't know how big the truck was that hit you, but yeah, generally you're going to be limited by the insurance policy. Okay, so you're probably not limited to $15,000. You're probably limited by a much larger policy. And like I was saying before, we did insurance research on one of my clients, and we didn't use Red Folder. We used, I think, Pacific Liability Research, other companies. And basically, we found a $2 million umbrella policy. So a $2 million umbrella policy, and my client's going to be having a back surgery. He already has several $100,000 of bills. He was off work now for almost 2 years. And I think I was showing you this playlist, but this is my workers' compensation playbook. If you get injured at work, I got all these videos I put up. But I actually put up, I want to go to my channel because I actually put up a short of this video of this case I'm discussing. This is what happened in the accident. I know a lot of shorts. Here it is. Who do you think's at fault? So yeah, my clients were driving straight with no stop sign, and this lady just goes and drives right out into the roadway. And she has a $2 million insurance policy. A pickup truck? Well, if it's a pickup truck, it could just be that it's a company, right? It could be less. Could be less. Could be less than $1 million. I don't know. If it's $1 million, it's going to cover quite a bit. I just settled $1 million case, a couple of them last year. You know, one lady, she had fallen through some stairs and her diaphragm was frozen. She was in the ICU for a week or two. And she lost earning capacity from her business. And I think that case settled for the $1 million insurance policy. And then I did a wrongful death last year for $1 million. It was like 1.2 million, 1,250,000, because it was like two policies. It was a $250,000 policy. And then we got the company for $1 million, which was their entire policy. And the lady was an old lady. It was very sad. And they tried to pull all kinds of crap. They tried to demur. They're trying to say, well, it's not elder abuse. I was like, yeah, right. Judge kept it in, of course, and we got them to pay the $1 million. But one day they just called me up and they said, hey, after the demur, which is basically like them trying to get the case thrown out. A demur is basically the defense saying, hey, what the plaintiff has pled does not give rise to a cause of action under California law. So even taking everything that they say is true, there's no case here. Well, as soon as we got the ruling that there was a case, they just paid the $1 million. So, you know, they'll try all kinds of BS that they try to pull. But yeah, if you're injured in California, you cannot get more than the minimum policy if that person has a minimum policy. And that's why we were discussing the red folder research and using that in pre-litigation to find out what the insurance policy is of the other party. If someone runs a red light broken, are they responsible for loss of income if they're uninsured? Well, is if the red light is broken, in other words, if it's just phased red or it's not phased anything, if they're uninsured, the likelihood is that they're not going to pay. It could affect your workers' comp case. Because now I would definitely talk to your lawyer and not say too much online about that. Obviously, no one's going to be looking to see what you posted in this live stream somewhere. But yeah, I mean, it could affect your workers' comp claim, Sandra. If you injured your shoulder and you have an overlapping insurance claim, you're definitely going to want to maybe get that case tightened up with your, it depends what you want to do with that. I mean, if you're trying to pin everything on the workers' comp carrier, then just leave out the auto accident. The auto accident liability carrier is going to argue that it was all pre-existing. Your argument, I mean, it depends if you got hurt more, then, you know, definitely I would try to file a claim on that. But maybe on the auto accident, you just do your back and your neck and you just leave out your shoulder. Just keep that clean. I mean, that's what I would probably do, unless it required like another surgery. Like if you went right to the ER and like they like did a surgery on you right there, then I would definitely pin it to the auto accident. But it also depends on how much insurance the person has who rear-ended you. If they have a state minimum insurance policy, I mean, you're only looking at a $15,000 upside. It could really damage your workers' comp claim. But talk to lawyers about that. You're going to want to talk to an attorney, your attorney, if you have a workers' comp lawyer, and probably an auto accident lawyer. You probably want a lawyer who understands both types of cases. That would be me in California. Which is like you got overlapping injuries. You're going to have to zig and zag. No phase. If someone runs a red light, there's no phase. Are they responsible for loss of income? Well, then they didn't run a red light. They're cited at fault, though, for running a red light. Well, look, if they're uninsured, the likelihood is they're going to pay no money on that claim because they're uninsured. They have no insurance. I mean, it's rare that I sue someone who has no insurance. I've done it before, but rarely do I do it because usually you can never collect on that lawsuit. You spend $500 to file the lawsuit. You end up spending money. You end up showing up to court. You end up having to do a bunch of work to get a judgment against someone. And then they go bankrupt. They file Chapter 7 bankruptcy and they just get the lien wiped off. So unless it's like a punitive award, it was broken. Sorry. Well, look, if the person's uninsured and you don't have any uninsured motorist coverage and the light's broken, yeah, exactly. You sue companies, you sue individuals. I agree with that. I mean, suing somebody. I had a case where we sued a landlord. He didn't have any insurance, and I ended up putting a lien on his property. And then when they finally sold the property years later, they were trying to sell it, and I had this lien on there. And they paid me, well, my client, like $10,000 to get rid of it. They broke two. Like, look, if the light's broken, something's wrong. They're supposed to stop. And if they don't stop, they ran it. So they're at fault. But if they have no insurance, then they're likely never going to pay you anything. Because if there's no insurance, then there's no insurance. They can't pay you anything. And that's going to be really difficult to collect money from them. Now, like I was saying before, I pay like $1,000 a month. I have this special investigative tool. I'm showing it here on the screen. It's called People Map. And if I'm hired to pursue a case, I always run people through this to decide, do they own any properties? Do they have any mortgages? Do they have any bankruptcies? Are they in jail? Have they been incarcerated? Are they criminals? Who are their relatives? Do they have any liens? Where are their bank accounts? Things like that. I can find all that out. I'm currently working on this case, Mark Serrano. This is the case where my client was hit by someone, a young guy, 23 years old, who ran from the scene and got away. What about the that's not covering, the company that's not covering the driver that was hit? There's big money suing. Oh, okay. They broke true traffic laws. What about the How can you investigate your boss? I don't know. Is there some type of, you could call the attorney general and see if there's some type of, I don't know. I'm not sure. Scheme of bankruptcy fraud. Numerous small companies. He has you on 2 W-2s. I don't know why you have you on 2 W-2s working for 2 different companies. That's strange. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've seen it at agencies where you maybe go around and work for different people, but then it would be all paid through the agency. That's the whole point of the agency. Well, They lied about their coverage. I don't know. Well, that's the problem. Sometimes people lie about their coverage. I have a case right now where the person hit my client, they gave them the insurance, and then the person disappeared, and now the insurance company is saying, well, we're reserving rights. We're not providing coverage because we can't get a hold of our insured, and our insured isn't telling us what happened, so we're not paying you. My taxes are split into two companies despite my working for one company. Well, I don't know if that's illegal or not, if that's legal or not legal. That seems certainly strange, doing false claims to the government. Maybe my boss, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Maybe his business only brings in so much money, and in order to pay you, he's got to pay you through two different companies. It's definitely sounds strange. They lied about coverage of the VIC. What's VIC? Vehicle? I mean, if they lie about coverage, you got to sue them. I mean, if you think that if you're very injured and the person is claiming they're uninsured, but you believe that they've lied about coverage, then you file a lawsuit. And then more employers on your work history causes me disqualified to find work. I don't know the answer to that question. It's like, okay. You go to like Chat GPT and ask it what it thinks. That might give you some insight into the situation. But I was like looking at this accident, this person just going right out. This is the $2 million case that I got. Now, the insurance company for the lady driving the dash cam is saying that that she's not at fault because she made it into the intersection first. I kid you not. They're denying liability for this claim. She's sitting back on her phone, and she just goes and runs the stop sign and goes right out into traffic and hits my client. And she's saying, I'm not at fault for this. Look at this. Insurance company denies his auto accident claim. So I'm about to file the lawsuit, but I want my client to have his surgery first. Company car's not at fault. Company doesn't want to cover. Thank you. I mean, I was trying to figure out what they were thinking. So I put it online, and I don't know, only 12 people liked it. I didn't get many comments. I was even one of the people who liked it. Dashcam owner at fault. Truck did not have a stop sign, so dashcam owner should stop and yield to traffic on the roadway before crossing. Thank you. This truck driver is my guy. I represent the guys in the truck. There's 3 of them. They've all agreed to waive conflicts of interest. I'm suing this lady. They're saying, hey, we're not suing. Basically, the passengers, if the driver of the pickup truck is at fault, then the passengers have potential claim against the driver, which means that I can't represent both because there's competing claims unless I get a written conflict of interest waiver, which I got. But I was just wondering if they had like 10% fault because they were driving 40 miles an hour as a 40 mile an hour speed limit. I don't see how they're at fault. I mean, this lady just goes right out. She just goes right out. And she's claiming, well, I'm not at fault. Well, she has a $2 million umbrella policy, so she doesn't want to be at fault because I'm about to take that whole policy from them. Company's car not at fault. Company doesn't want to cover VIC, uninsured. VIC. Potential. Company car's not at fault. VIC is an insurance carrier. An IC. Vicarious liability, maybe. Company car. Company doesn't want to cover Vic, victim of the uninsured company car. Well, I mean, if you're in a company car, is that what you're saying? I mean, if you're in a company car, maybe you have uninsured motorist coverage through your company. Maybe you have workers' comp rights. If you don't have those, I guess I'm just not quite understanding. Oh, okay. They don't want to cover the uninsured motorist. Well, I mean, if it's a company car and the person's in that car and there's coverage on the car and the person is driving the car legally, it seems to me that there should be uninsured motorist coverage. But maybe there is no uninsured motorist coverage for that person. I don't know what the insurance policy says. I mean, it seems to me that if you're in a car that has uninsured motorist coverage attached to it, because like your primary uninsured motorist coverage is going to be your coverage. So if I get into somebody else's car, my coverage comes with me. But then the question is let's say that insurance, that car also has insurance, uninsured motorist coverage on it. Is my insurance primary, or is the uninsured motorist coverage on the car I was in primary? I think you have to see the policies to know that the answer to that question. But I know that, I mean, if they're in the company car and there's uninsured motorist, which I've seen, but a lot of times they decline that because when you're in a company car, you're driving for work, it's workers' comp, which is no fault insurance. And then the company just gives them that. They don't give them uninsured motorist coverage. You'd have to see the deck page. You'd have to talk to the adjuster. You'd have to ask the adjuster, let me see the insurance policy that's covering this collision. Let me take a look at the declaration page. I want to see that page and I want to know. But you're I see. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to know what the insurance policy looks like, and it can be hard to get that information. Yeah, okay, so you did. So you got if it's just liability insurance and there's no uninsured motorist coverage, then you're out of luck. Now the question is were you driving for work? Now the going and coming rule, when you're going home, you're coming to work, you're on a basic commute to your normal and customary place of employment, that's going to be non-workers comp. But if you're in a company car, question is maybe that commute becomes work-related injury. I don't know the answer to that question. If I'm in a company vehicle commuting to work, am I covered by workers' compensation insurance of my employer in California? This law firm says yes. Says it's likely. But maybe not. I mean, if you're just going to and from work, the going and coming rule generally prohibits you. If you're being paid, or if the company's paying your mileage, well, if you're an independent contractor, then no. If you're an independent contractor, then you don't get workers' comp. That's the rule. Now, you might be misclassified. Maybe you're supposed to be getting a W-2. You know, the California enacted the ABC test. I won't go into that right now because I don't know. Yeah. Basically, you look at a number of factors to determine if someone is an employee versus an independent contractor. How much control does the employer exercise over the employee? Do they tell them to show up at a certain time? Do they pay them by the hour? Do they tell them to wear a uniform? Okay. Do they give them a lunch breaks? Do they have to, are they under the control of the employer's management? Or are they more independent? Do they show up kind of when they want? Do they bid jobs and then buy the materials themselves? A lot of times someone is an independent contractor. Are they in the same line of work as the person that they work for? Okay, like let's say you hire somebody to come and fix a window in your shop. They are not in the same line of work as you as a barber, maybe, and they go and source the materials themselves, and you don't tell them to show up at 8 o'clock. Well, maybe you say that's the window they're going to be there. That's like clearly an independent contractor situation. There's obviously, you can get closer to employee if the company is in the line of work of replacing windows, and they tell you that you have to replace, they give you the jobs, and then you go pick up the truck from them. And the glass is at the warehouse, and you go get the materials from that employer. That's going to start looking like an employment relationship. You get paid by the hour versus getting paid by the job. But it's not like every situation is analyzed with a number of factors. This was a big argument with employees of Uber and Lyft. They were arguing, some employees, well, people want to be independent contractors, I think generally, who do Uber and Lyft. But there was an argument to be made that they're in the same line of work as the app company. They're in transportation, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of times it doesn't matter whether or not you're right and you should be a W-2 employee or you should be a contractor, because the employer who's employing you, if they are employing only contractors, they're probably doing that to avoid workers' comp insurance. And by avoiding workers' comp insurance, they're also depriving you of the opportunity to get a lawyer and to file a workers' comp claim. Because if I get a call from somebody where they're an independent contractor and their employer doesn't have insurance, there's nowhere to go with that claim. I mean, yes, you can sue them in civil court. Yeah, you can apply for the uninsured employers benefits trust fund, but they never pay. I have cases that have been going on for like 10 years and they don't pay. So it's like, if you're an independent contractor, you're just out of luck. And if you're driving a company vehicle or somebody else's vehicle and they don't have uninsured motorist and you don't have your own uninsured motorist, then you're out of luck. Well, they don't know. Is this like, okay, so you're being classified as an independent contractor and they're giving you a car to drive. That's starting to look more like a now in Cal, that's looking more like an employment situation. Anyway, thank you for chatting with me, Chris. I appreciate it. I'm going to go home. Like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you were on, I did 2 court appearances today. I had a pro bono, a case that I was helping a friend's son out in a divorce matter. Not much fun at all. But we got the case done. Today was the evidentiary hearing. We got the case settled yesterday. And this morning I set a case for trial. An automobile accident case where my clients were rear-ended and the guy gets out of his car and runs from the scene and is claiming that he wasn't the driver of the automobile that hit him. Can Skiff be sued? State Compensation Insurance Fund is like a quasi-governmental agency. It's like civil servants in there. Not really. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could be sued, but oftentimes what happens is that workers' comp insurance is not the employer's, or it's not the employee's insurance, it's the employer's insurance, which means that the duty of good faith does not extend to you as an employee. Okay? So they don't have a duty of good faith under the insurance laws, which, like, if you are being treated by your health insurance company or your own insurance company and they treat you dirty, you can sue them for bad faith. And there's a whole, in California, there's a whole bunch of case law that says that insurance carriers have to treat you certain ways, and there's statutes as well. There's the good the good faith, the Fair Claims Settlement Practices Regulations. All of these insurance rules about how insurance companies have to treat you. And if they don't, you can oftentimes sue them for bad faith. Say, you caused me damages, you caused me emotional distress, you caused me pain and suffering. Okay? No, you can't sue them because they're not your insurance carrier. They're the insurance carrier of your employer. So the Fair Claims Settlement Practices Regulations and other bad faith law doesn't apply. Now, there are penalties, okay, that you could maybe get assessed against SCIF, State Compensation Insurance Fund. But SCIF is like a quasi-governmental entity that's like civil servants working there. They represent the government. They represent the self-insured entities like the state of California. And they also represent employers. It's also the largest workers' comp insurance company in the state. They represent employers that can't get insurance anywhere else. Okay, if they're uninsured and they need insurance, they can get it from the state fund. No one's treating you for 8 years. Yeah, I'm sorry that that's a situation that you're in, Tanya, because that's a situation that you would normally, well, not normally, I wouldn't say, but in other situations, you'd be able to sue the insurance company for bad faith, for not treating you, for not helping you, for leaving you to rot. But because it's workers' comp, this is why I always tell my clients at the end of their claim, better to settle the case and take the money for the future care. Don't leave your future care open. Because if you do, your lawyer finishes the case, they just sub off the case and you're left to your own devices getting your future medical treatment with the workers' comp carrier. And the adjusters ignore you and you can't get another lawyer and there's no way to get treatment. Now, what I would do if I were you, if they have violated their own policies, I'm going after them. Well, State Compensation Insurance Fund. What I would do is you got to get a hold of the adjuster and you got to look up, you got to find a provider on the network. A lot of providers won't see people because maybe your claim's really old. If your claim's really old, then maybe they won't see you. I know. So there are, it's very rare, but there are penalties and sanctions that can be leveled against insurance, workers' comp insurance carriers in California for screwing over people really bad. They have to be bad faith actions or tactics that are solely intended to hurt you. Almost like, oh, no PTP or treatment. Well, go to Google and type in State Compensation Insurance Fund, MPN, and then find a provider, and then you go in and you type in enter specialty, orthopedic surgery, type in your zip code. Southern California is going to have a lot more treaters than Northern California, I can tell you that, although there's a lot less treaters than there used to be. Okay, Kaiser Permanente, that's off the table. Start seeing some of these doctors not accepting new patients. He is at his Upland office, though. Scott Goldman, he's in Upland, Rancho now. Go in and find a Connor LaRose. He's a good surgeon. It's my daughter's, his daughter is my daughter's best friend. Is Chris still in here? The rental scheme is just as bad. They make you pay with fares. Yeah. Okay, so you're talking. Thanks for chatting. He probably left. The rental scheme. Oh, the rental scheme with Uber. Yeah, it's contacted friends. None of theirs was on from northern to southern. Yeah, so you're going to have a limited number of primary treating physicians. I mean, you got cancer from it. You're going to need a QME. I mean, if you haven't gotten one yet, you need a QME. Go QME form. You can go on here. You could fill this out. You fill this out, you send it to the medical unit, you serve. Basically, I went DWC QME forms, clicked on the second result there. You can fill this out, and you're an employee, and you got your claim number and the specialty you want to request. Here's all the specialties at the end. Now, you can get a second panel if you've already had a panel. But there's going to have to be, but the first panel is going to have to say that you need it, or you're going to need a workers' compensation judge to order it. Imagine toxic exposure. Toxic exposure. Well, if the claim's accepted, they have to have 3. He put my race in the report. Well, what race are you? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it could be I don't know if it's really relevant. Does he put the race in the report? Oh, that's true, Chris. Yeah, they're just they're flying by night. They don't have the appropriate coverage. Now, if you drive for Uber in California and you have someone in the car, there's a $1 million uninsured, underinsured motorist policy. I did a live stream on that a couple weeks ago, and I talked all about it. It was really like a pre-recorded thing that I put up as a live stream. I was testing out my Restream account. Is that normal? I mean, I don't want to pull up. Yeah, like, did they say, well, this is a pleasant Caucasian lady who came into my office on December 13th, 2023 with a normal gait and a smile on her face. I don't know. I mean, they might have put your race in there. It sounds like you don't like what they have to say. Is it that you don't like what they have to say, or is it, I don't know if it's normal or not, to be honest. I never really noticed that. I don't know. Let's see a QME. You can't see the screen. That's good because this is private stuff. Here's a QME report. See if they talk about the race. They say blank is a 48-year-old right-hand dominant bilingual individual who displays herself to be a suboptimal historian. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Don't say her race in this one. I don't know. Well, look, I don't think I would often see race described in a QME report. I mean, are they trying to, whoa. I don't want you seeing that. That's my private client list. Sorry. Just flipped onto the screen. Yeah, I don't think that they mention race, but it shouldn't be a relevant factor unless I guess there was some way that it was racially related, but I don't know of I can't think of any situation where your race would really matter when it comes to a disease. No, I can't think of one. But look, some of these doctors can be racist. I mean, you always have to consider that the doctor's going to be a prick or something. That's the problem with QMEs. I often like to pick AMEs. I have AMEs. I like Dr. Fennison, Dr. Simpkins. Those are both African-American doctors, black doctors. I think that they're the fairest doctors that I've ever met. Will AI be a threat to evidence? Well, I mean, look, you could go to the workers' compensation judge. There's a few things. You go to the judge, you say to the judge, Judge, in my meeting with the QME, the doctor made racist, derogatory statements about protected class. I don't know, maybe you're black or you're Asian or whatever. I don't know, or you're female or you're disabled. And they said, oh, it's just you again. I want a new QME. This one's bias. And look, even in the report, he mentions my race. What does that have to do with anything? And if the judge might order a new QME for you. Now, if you're not getting the treatment that you need and the SCIF doesn't have 3 doctors, what city? I don't know. I'm in Ontario, California, in Southern California. If there's not 3 doctors within, I think, 30 miles or 90 miles of your place of employment, I think it's 90 miles, some ridiculously large number of miles, then you can go to an outside doctor. Now, the problem with that is that doctors won't take the workers' comp anymore. So it's hard to go out to an outside doctor. There's not much remedy there. So you could file an expedited hearing if you have a lawyer. If your case is very old and you may have had a lawyer, I don't know. But you tell your lawyer, file an expedited hearing and go to see the judge about your lack of treatment options. I mean, my paralegal, goes down to the courthouse and we'll just sit there with the judge and we'll just call doctors right there. Judge, there's no doctors in this network. My client needs a doctor, and the defense attorney's there saying, no, there's doctors. Look at the list right here. Oh, yeah, well, let's call all those doctors and ask them right now if they take patients, because we called all of them and they don't. And then we just call down the list and the judge says, hey, you got to authorize a doctor that's out of network because you don't have a statutory compliant list of doctors. So the applicant gets the right to treat outside of the network. Oh, Dr. Fennison and Dr. Simpkins, they're orthopedic doctors. They're like in the Inland Empire of California. Like I think in Redlands, Riverside. Dr. Anthony Fennison. I've had some doctor depots with this guy. He's a good guy. He always sticks up for the applicant. This guy right here. Here he is. Can't really see him. He's right there. Fennison. Dr. Anthony Fennison, Dr. Albert Simpkins. There he is. Right there. Those two guys, they're good. I do. Yeah, occasionally we do it. It depends on the situation. And we go down on what we call an expedited hearing, which is when your client can't get medical treatment or can't get their benefits paid. And it's an emergency, right? So the workers' comp board will schedule those hearings within like 2 weeks, and I'll be down there. Hey, Tanya, thank you for chatting with me. I appreciate it. I'm going to head home because I got to get home. And also, Chris, thank you too. Do I think AI will be an issue for evidence in the future? I don't know. Can AI doctor videos and stuff? And you'd still have to have authentication. So when somebody brings a video to court, we need some way to get that into evidence. Otherwise, it's hearsay. So usually the insurance company or the plaintiff will bring the person who took the photo to testify. And I've been in court where the investigators who are looking at my client. Thank you. You can blockchain it maybe so that you can maybe protect the evidence. But oftentimes the person who's taking the video or the person who took the photos has to show up and authenticate those videos and say, yeah, that was me that took them. That's exactly what occurred. I was there and I took that video. And that's how you get it in and get around the rule of evidence or get around that says you just can't bring in hearsay evidence, which is basically like you're bringing in some doctored video. I don't know. All right, Chris. All right, Tanya. I hope that I've answered your questions. I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to do a live stream about 5 o'clock. So, Tanya, if you think about anything else you want to ask, I'd be happy to answer those questions for you.